4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Good evening, Misfits. What's up, Shawn?
What's
been a
going
while.
on? It's been
you know,
some time. Last time it was last year.
It was last. Yeah, we haven't done the show since 2025.
Last year.
I know that we're a few minutes, like 10 minutes late. Shawn could see me. I was scrambling. I didn't eat all day. I worked my ass off today. I got all this flooring done, and I was just about to start the show, and I had forgot to copy and paste you into the video box. So this was the first time I've ever tried that. But I hit that studio mode button. I went in, I edited it, and then I clicked it, and it worked out. I know how to do more internet. Is all I'm saying. I have interneted even.
Nice.
I've reached the next level.
You've leveled up. Next level. You've leveled up.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm about to beat the game.
Achievements.
Yeah, I'm about to beat the whole game of the internet. I think that we can do it. Yeah, man. Had Dinesh D'Souza on this morning. Great conversation. That was pretty cool.
Awesome. And Dinesh is great.
I know. And then, so I wish I had seen the tweet. Let me pull it up for you. If I had saw the tweet, I would have asked him about the tweet, but I did not see the tweet. I didn't see the tweet until after the interview was already over. Let me see if I can stop being ominous and just fill you in here. This cunt. So, apparently, tomorrow, Dave Smith is debating Dinesh D'Souza.
Well, that'll be fun.
And I would have liked to have known that before I had interviewed Dinesh D'Souza, because I would have gone. You know what? He only had about 45 minutes, so I wouldn't have even wanted to dive too deep into that. For FYI, near beer. We are drinking Heineken Zero. We're doing Dry 90 again. We did that last year. It worked out really well. Last year, I think I lost like 25 pounds. So we're going to try that again. I went hard last year, though. I did carnivore. I did no booze, no carbs, nothing. It was insane. So this year, I'm doing it a little different. We're doing no booze, no bread. That's all it is.
Nice.
Just no booze, no bread. We're still gonna eat rice and potatoes and all that other shit. We're just gonna do no booze, no bread, because I need my sanity. That was difficult last year. So I did it as a personal challenge. It's just like the Rumble Creator Program. I give myself a task, and then I just have to beat the game. And I reassessed after that, because what would happen was, if anybody's ever done one of these like crazy restrictive diets where you actually stick to it, you do have to eat, and there's no fucking place to go like get carnivore if you are working and you are rushing. So what I would do is I would go to McDonald's, right? And I would just order like a double quarter pounder with cheese, and then I would take the bun off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that's what you do. And I'm like,
I've been pretty loyal to keto for the last, I would say, 10 years. But
that's pretty much what I'm gonna.
Straight. It hasn't been 10 years. It's hard to maintain. But I will say, since I made, like you said, like you kind of set a challenge for yourself, like and so at the end of the summer, I was just not loving the way I felt. So I was just like, all right, Labor Day, that's it. That's my last day in the sun, and then we're gonna start doing workouts. We're gonna start a whole routine. I'm going to build up, a good foundation, get into November. I ordered a treadmill. Now we got the treadmill. Now I'm sitting there sprinting. So, and it's been good. But since the beginning of September, I have stayed, I was able to maintain. Now for the holidays, I went off the rails a little bit, but did not miss a single workout. And, I've been really, keto, I would say probably 90% of the time, including the holiday oopsies. And now I have no interruptions planned. I mean, it's going to be a good run until at least the end of the month. So
nice.
It's hard when you have those restrictive diets. It is. But if you're out, buffalo chicken wings, those are usually 0 carb. You should be all right.
it's literally the go-to if you ever are on like some type of keto or just no bread or Atkins, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, low
fucking
carb.
chicken wings. Chicken wings. It's like I
made them tonight.
I made them tonight.
I have a deep fryer in my garage.
Me too.
I made 20 tonight. Bang.
Well, what I did not eat, I did not make them tonight. Apparently, I made them yesterday, and I forgot. So I looked in the air fryer like when I got home, right? And I was like, oh fuck. So I just closed the air fryer and hit the button again, and I was like, well, we'll eat yesterday's
I have a deep
wings.
fryer in my garage, so I deep fried them and tossed them in the wing sauce, and they were delicious. And I have my little ketone test.
We got a little delay.
We got a little. I think there's a little delay with
Shawn. Yeah, hold on. But it's on. Let me see if I can fix it. Let's try to reset this and see if that does anything. No. Let's see. We gotta. No. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that.
I don't know.
Oh, I know what to try to do. Hold on. We're gonna just type in. We'll get rid of this. You'll go away for a second. And then we'll do it. Now we'll replug it in. Okay, let's see.
I'm back.
Nope, still a delay. I don't know what the fuck.
That's weird.
This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. Whatever.
This is regular gremlins, whatever it is, what it is.
Just don't look at Shawn's mouth while he's talking. And I'm the one that's usually on the delay. Shawn's usually coming in perfectly fine. Oh, Brennan says, I don't see a delay. Maybe it's just me and Shawn seeing it on our end, and it's actually coming in fine. Zach's troubles. My troubles, exactly.
Let me see. I got it on my screen here. Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to let it.
Check
see
if
stream
your
is
audio
delayed by about 30 seconds. I'm going to see. Hold on.
Yeah, we got 2 people in the chat saying they don't see the delay, so it's probably
it's fine. Our end. There's no delay on my end either, so I think it just comes down to you're just a little retarded.
No, I mean, I think that
in the
I'm
technical
definitely
sense
watching.
of the word, retard means slow.
I'm gonna
have
to screen. I am definitely retarded. I have the test scores to prove it. I'm just saying that I am not hallucinating right now. I am not even drinking alcohol anymore. I'm not on any of the mind altering substances. Actually, you know what?
Right.
That is not true though, because I am a little loopy right now because. As you know, because we're actually friends and we talk. Like I've had a very slow month with. Let me go back to main screen. We'll keep vamping. We'll do the weekly breakdown in a minute. I miss my buddy. I haven't seen him in a while.
I haven't seen him since last year. Okay, calm down.
I know it's been we're a whole new year. No. So I last month was like I literally did not have work for December. Which is normal for contractors. Like, I know my haters will be like, oh, you're such a loser. It's normal for contractors. December is the month where nobody does work. I'm fine. I have money. I have savings. So I did the whole month off. And then I get back to work last week. And holy shit, I feel it. Like I am fucking wiped. Like I need to because like that's like not going to the gym for like a couple of months and then coming in and doing a workout. You lose a little. So I was like, I got home and I was like,
into the groove here.
Oh yeah, no, my body will adjust quick, and I also need to get back to the gym. I renewed my membership, and I just it really is a busy week. So I was dead for December. Listen, feast or famine. That is my business. It is feast or famine, and I was dead for a month, about 5 weeks. Now I have 2 jobs booked, and I had the guy call me back. I bid a job at the courthouse downtown, crazy money. I was going to be working for 4 days for 10 grand. But I had a previous commitment, and I have this thing called integrity, right? So I told them, they just called me back. This job was supposed to go on in December. They called me and they go, hey, we're ready to move forward. And I was like, all right, I have to ask my other customer. And I told my other customer, hey, I got to be honest with you. I got this job. I bid it before you, but you're on the schedule. And they were like, well, my sister's coming in late February and we really want it done. I go, say no more. I had to call them back and say, sorry, guys. So, but it's a good sign that means work's coming in. Anyway.
Yes.
Now, enough about that. Let's get to the actual daily breakdown. Weekly breakdown. So, what has been in the fucking news, Shawn? Anything? I think it's been very slow.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we got? We got Iran, we got Maduro, we got fucking.
It's been ICE, Maduro.
The Renee Good, yeah. So let's pick
Maduro
one off
has
the
kind
top
of faded. It's really like the Somali fraud, but it's the Renee Good story that's been, I think, dominating everything.
Yeah, I heard that their family just hired George Floyd's lawyer. All right.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
So let me see here. Maybe I'll just go. I'll just go to the post that I reposted. I think it was recent. I'm so pissed. I just saw this. Have you heard of Ryan Long, the comedian? He's the Canadian comedian. He's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. And I just watched this clip, and at the end of the clip, it says San Antonio, January 14th. And I was like, oh, when is that? I was
Today.
like, oh, it's right. It's right now. He's up the street. Oops. I saw this Renee Good story. Maybe I didn't repost it. By the way, I didn't know that I'm following her and she's following me. I'm not embarrassed. I meant what I said, but I really thought I was talking about just this random person. So it says, Republican congressional candidate Catalina Lauf has raised $1.3 million. I go, probably because she's hot as fuck. And then somebody tagged her in the comments. Hold on. Somebody tagged her. Deb, I think. Deb tagged her. And I was like, I clicked on the page and I go, oh, fuck. Are they still posting the pedophiles? Are they still posting this? Jesus Christ.
It's been,
I have to bookmark it because this is for the lawsuit. You know, if you guys keep doing that, you're helping me out. I'm not saying do whatever you want. It's fake. It's literally fake. But Grok is still saying that I'm a pedophile. So I don't know. Elon, I told you. Said, hey, no hard feelings. I'm gonna sue the shit out of you. No hard feelings.
Right. Yeah.
It's fucking weird. It's weird that your AI keeps calling me a pedophile. Here we go. Yes, there we go. Feds want to charge the ICE shooting victim, Renee Nicole Good's widow. And they put widow in all caps, like it's shocking. Why would it be shocking? Let's see here. So, Drive, Baby, Drive. I think that might be a good... I wonder if that's going to pop up with a video. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Right here. Shawn, you can't hear it, but they can. Oh, there it is. I just heard it. Drive, Baby, Drive, right before the woman steps on the gas and drives into a fucking federal officer. Yeah, you should charge that woman. She literally, that's like saying shoot him. And then the person shoots him. You get accessory. That's an accessory to a crime. 100%. And I heard that wife also has like raised like over $1 million too. So, you know, she's living it up.
She's living it up. She's fundraising off this crap. That's what they always do. You know,
always.
Typical.
I mean, look.
Victim.
The officer also raised $500,000. I'm fine with. Go ahead, both sides fundraise off it.
Apparently he's suffering from he suffered from internal bleeding after that. Yeah. So
you know,
but it wasn't a deadly weapon.
If you watch that video, I've watched it several times. You can hear the car hit him. And he literally goes, "Oh." Like, you can hear the car. Let's fucking watch it again. Fuck it. Let's listen. I know Shawn can't hear it because for some reason it's stupid, but listen. If you guys listen.
Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
Yeah, you hear him go, woo, and then crunch. Yeah, that's a fucking 1.5 ton vehicle. That vehicle weighs over 4,000 pounds, right? And anytime
that's like a third of a Chris Christie.
Yeah, 1/3 of Chris. That is a Chris Christie fraction. Whenever you hear somebody say that she was unarmed, right? Here's what I want you to do. Okay, this is the best way to counter anyone on the left who says a cop shot an unarmed woman. You just reply with, like Ashley Babbitt. You remember Ashley Babbitt? She was not armed. She was not charged.
This woman was armed. Renee Good was armed with a 1.5 ton car. You know, a car that weighs over.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't think so. But they don't think so.
Of course, they don't think so. And that's the thing, right? Yeah. So like the best part about this is, and everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be George Floyd 2.0. I said, no, it's not. You got two things missing. Yeah, you have the racial element. Watch your show. That's big time missing. And number two is there's so much more avenues of getting accurate information, but B, so much more video that exonerates the officer, you know, that was available. Yeah,
it's also not going to be. It's not going to be George Floyd 2.0 because they can't weaponize. They can't weaponize. Like I'm basically saying what you're saying, right? In order to make it a George Floyd 2.0, right? It's not like you necessarily need the racial element. You need the plausible deniability of wrongdoing. And there really isn't. That video, they even know that video exonerates the cop. Like they can say the only thing that I've heard them try to articulate as some form of an excuse is the cop could have gotten out of the way. And they know that's bullshit. They did a timer on that video. That cop had 0.7 seconds to react. Right? From the moment of acceleration of the car to the moment where the car hit him, they slow-moed that video. It was 0.7 seconds. You can't make decisions in 0.7 seconds. Mississippi.
Right.
Yeah. You can make a quick self-defense, remember your training situation, like
that's what training's for, by the way.
Decision. Yeah, and that's exactly what training is for. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, he was dragged by a car and got 30 stitches. No. That didn't affect that. That didn't affect that. He did the right thing whether or not he got dragged by a car in a previous bust. Saying that is kind of...
I think most people who are citing that are trying to say, hey, you know, he was already involved in an incident like this and he got very, very hurt. So he's now, it's in the back of his mind to say, I'm not letting that happen again. And
no, I understand.
You know, that's it. But he was fully justified. Fully justified.
Yes, exactly. But when you say that, it's almost like signaling, oh, that's the reason. No. The reason he did what he did was his training.
Contributing factor. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Maybe I would say that the difference between the first time and this time is maybe he just didn't do the right thing the first time, right? That's more of the point that you can make with that, because he should have done what he did this time, last time. Look, I don't fucking care if she was a mom. I don't care if she intentionally tried to kill him. I don't care. My empathy is going to always be reserved for the actual victim, right? She was not a victim. She was an assailant. The officer was the potential victim. There is plenty of cases of officers being run over or killed on the job, and unfortunately, in all of those situations, there wasn't a bunch of people with cell phones out who could have actually, shown that the cop was saying, get out of the car. And look, you can make the argument like where, oh, now all of a sudden you guys sound like, oh, you're just saying that we should always comply with law enforcement. Oh, lawful orders, yeah. I am all for law and order. That's lawful orders. If a cop were to ever, let's say, get out of line I would probably even still comply, but I would try to use I would try to articulate that I would be like, hey, what I think you're doing is wrong. Like, for instance, let's say I was walking down the street open carrying my firearm, which I am constitutionally protected in Texas for doing, and let's say a cop came up and said, you can't do that. I'd be like, officer, yes, I can. Right?
Right.
Let's say the officer said, no, you can't, because he doesn't know the law. And he drew his gun on me and he said, you get on the ground. I'd get on the ground. I wouldn't pull my gun out and fucking gotcha. That's how you get shot. Right? And then I would let him arrest me, and then I would sue the department. Right? What these leftists, what these people don't understand is, right, like, if you're right, okay, let's say you're right, and let's say that these ICE officers are unconstitutional and they're arresting people without due process and blah, 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 blah. Let them arrest you. Sue them. Right?
Sue them.
If you're actually right, there are so many. Dude, do you have any idea how many people? They have whole YouTube channels dedicated to this shit where they try to catch cops. Yeah, you can do, like, they know they're breaking the law. That's the problem.
That's what we said last week. And I said, the easiest way to survive an encounter with law enforcement is to give law enforcement absolutely no reason to believe that you're a threat to their lives. Even if you believe you're in the right, don't start screaming and waving your arms like a wild man. Get through it and then handle it later. When we were swatted, that was the instructions that I gave to Brennan. I said, we have to be careful. We have to listen to every instruction. We did nothing wrong. They will see very quickly that we're not dangerous. And once they realize we're not dangerous and the guns go down, then we can talk about what to do next. And that's what we did.
And I don't think that you have a case to sue them. I wouldn't say.
No, definitely. I don't think I do either. I don't think I wouldn't. We have a good relationship with them, and we're happy for them.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it would be one thing if, like, you were okay. So, I don't know if you've seen that video. There's that video of the black guy, and the cops are saying, get out of the car. And then they smash his window. And first thing they do after they smash his window is right hook. And the kid's filming the whole thing. Then they pull him out of the car and they start 1-2ing him while he's got like 3 guys on him. And he did the right thing. He was like, I'm not complying. He's like, and you don't have to, by the way. You are allowed to say, this is my property. You can break the window. You don't have a search warrant. And let them break the window, and you can take them to court. But then when the officers, and that dude is probably paid by now. That dude's got to be paid by now. But you know who does not have a case? I highly fucking doubt they have a case. Is that lesbian lover of Renee Good for some type of wrongful death, or it's all going to be performative, and it's all just going to be for the media. That's the only reason they're doing it.
That's all it is. That's all it is. That's the only reason.
They know this woman right here knows for a fucking fact that she cannot sue the police department, sue the officer, anything. So if they have hired George Floyd's former attorney, then great. I didn't look into this too hard, but there's Geraldo saying, she was heading to a doctor's appointment. Instead, she got mugged by ICE. Do you know anything about this?
This is a story. Apparently, this woman was obstructing ICE, and they ripped her out of the car a day ago because she wouldn't get out of the way.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You know what? Hold on. Her car appears to be perpendicular to traffic.
Yeah.
If you look in the background, the cars are going this way. Her car is perpendicular. Now, here's the deal.
I don't go to doctor's offices with my car perpendicular on the road, so.
Yeah, me neither. So I did the stop breaking the law, asshole, right? And if you look at the comments here, this is strange, right? She never broke a law. Shawn, are you allowed to obstruct a roadway with a vehicle?
No, and you're also not allowed to obstruct a federal officer, 18 U.S. Code Section 111.
Well,
can't do it.
I was gonna I was gonna get to that. I was gonna lay you up, but yeah, you jumped.
Okay,
You jumped to the end. You're not allowed to even obstruct.
No layups.
You're not allowed to obstruct a roadway, ever. Right. Ever. You're not allowed to obstruct a roadway, even if you're not impeding an investigation. You're not allowed to just take your car and go sideways with it. So,
right.
I got video evidence of her breaking a law right there. Mugged, arrested for interference. What law did she break? Obstruction of a roadway. Now, you also, Shawn, just cited the 18 USC code for impeding a federal investigation. There's
18 USC 111. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious. I know Geraldo's a fucking hack, right? I know he's a hack, and I know he's retarded. Dan Bongino proved that many a time. But do you think that Geraldo knows, or do you think that he's like, he really believes the shit that he's saying?
I don't know. I think it might be a little bit of a mix of both.
What keeps me up at night is the question of, do they believe it, right? Because I can very confidently guess that Tucker Carlson knows that he's slinging bullshit, right? I could say that I would put good money that Tucker Carlson knows he's slinging bullshit, because his views have changed. Milk Bar TV has done amazing videos on his old views. We talked about this with Dinesh today in this morning's interview, where he talks about how Tucker has this game that he plays where he just like sits there and he nods, and he brings on guests that are pushing a narrative, but he doesn't push the narrative. Geraldo Rivera, though, that's because Tucker's smart. Geraldo Rivera's retarded, though. Like, you remember when Geraldo Rivera tried to open up Gotti's vault and there was nothing in it? Did you hear about that?
Nothing in it. Yeah.
Yeah. He did it on fucking live TV like a moron. Yeah, another one. This kid apparently got his eyeball shot out because he's an asshole. Like, don't do that. I think it was the first kid. Here, let's see. Let's go frame by frame. All right, there's the kid. All right, the kid with the megaphone. Right there. Here he is. That's assaulting an officer, and then bang, immediately. Paintball gun to the eyeball, and then he goes down. Good. He's down.
With that. They just got ISIS shot a Venezuelan illegal alien.
Look at, now they're dragging him.
They're using a shovel. They swung a shovel at a federal officer. You can't do that either. I mean, like, it's very, look at him. It's very simple, you know?
Hey, you just assaulted an officer. Hold on, let's go back just to be clear. Right? Just to be clear. Wait for it. Here he comes. That right there is assaulting an officer. And about 0.7 seconds later, pun intended, or you know what I meant, boom, eyeball, gone. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
he's got a microphone, or a megaphone, and on Crowder, they played the clip of that guy that knocked out like 3 people.
He was a human wrecking ball. That dude is a legend.
I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. But they made a very good point, and I don't think a lot of people would have thought of this. Right? He was assaulted before anyone ever touched him, because on the side of a megaphone, here it is. The fuck around and find out. If you watch closely, right? If you watch closely, this wait, actually, I don't think they got the first part in this clip. But right before this clip, the kid in the red has the megaphone in the guy's ear. It says right on the side of the megaphone, "Do not put directly in here." So you can damage somebody's hearing when you have one of those megaphones.
Can. Yeah, absolutely.
So that is self-defense. If you are literally trying to deafen me, right? I'm giving you the 1-2 combo. Yeah, I mean, for anybody that hasn't seen this clip, let's just play it. But yeah, he goes to the guy that was just trying to fucking remove his hearing. He gives him an uppercut. Then this is exactly what I would have done. Just start punching everybody. because they're all there.
Close. That's it.
And not even anyone who gets close. Anyone who has a dick. Look at then this kid who just got knocked out with the red jacket. He comes back for seconds. And fucking boom, wind up.
Down he goes again.
Boom, wind up. Yep, that's great. And you know what? Look, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen, guys. I'm telling you. Am I advocating for political?
Look, I don't condone violence, but I absolutely condone self-defense. No problem whatsoever.
Am I calling for political violence when I say that if you show up to exercise your First Amendment right peacefully and they are not peaceful, should you knock them the fuck out? Yes. Mm-hmm. That's not political violence. That's common sense.
Nope.
If I went out to have a good time at the bar, okay, and somebody grabbed my girlfriend's ass, I would beat the shit out of them, right? Am I being violent? Yeah. Is it justified violence? Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, there is a justified there. Look, if you got to understand that there's this pussification of the Republican Party on the right. Let's just call it the right. There's a pussification of the right going on, and we're gonna need real men to step up and start acting like men again. We're kind of turning
into a little bit like hippies, you know. Like peace, love, dope. Like, look at this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, don't go to war. Why? Why do we have a military? Well, they train. You know they want to go, right? You know the Marines are eating crayons right now, sitting in a fucking tent, begging somebody to point them at a bad guy. It's like fucking Christ, guys. Stop being pussies. Look, I'm not an interventionist. I'm more of a like when it's necessary, sure. That's why we have a fucking military. Yep. Like you guys should understand that Trump is on my level of thinking. That's why he renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, right? We are not pussies who only defend ourselves after we're attacked. We're not doing a September 10th mentality anymore. We're doing a September 12th mentality. That's the mentality you need, because if you don't look, if you look at it like the way that you can view Putin is a bully, okay? Like he's a bully. And what do bullies do? Bullies pick on weak people. Iran, right. China, all these other countries. Bullies, they pick on weak people. You want to know who they don't pick on? Bigger fucking bullies, right? And Trump's the biggest fucking bully on the planet. We need the biggest bully, right? I'd rather have a big bully than a big pussy. That's all I'm saying. I want us to be feared. Call me crazy. I do. I'd rather be feared than respected.
I'd rather us be feared than us be loved. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, fucking, like love, like is it really love? Like that's what I'm saying. Do you really ever think that the fucking people in these other countries really care about you? Do you care about them really? If you really think about it, when you wake up in the morning, is the first fucking thing that you think about somebody in Uganda? No, you don't fucking care. You care about yourself, your kids. You care about the things in front of you. Do you have empathy for people around the world that are going through hardships? Absolutely. I have empathy, but I don't have suicidal empathy. Dan Bongino, February 2nd. Can't come fucking soon enough.
Cannot come soon enough. I'm so excited. So excited for him to get back. So excited for him to get back. We need it. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
I want to show you this, right? Because Megyn Kelly here is like talking about how Ben Shapiro is obsessed with Israel, et cetera, et cetera. So I went to Ben's page, right? And I went and looked at all of his shows, right? I watch his show sometimes. If there's a viral clip, I'll go watch the whole thing. I don't see one mention of Israel. There's no thumbnails of Netanyahu. There's no Star of Davids. You got Gavin Newsom. Like, actually, let's go through this. Let's look at the theme of Ben Shapiro's show, because Ben Shapiro is apparently obsessed with Israel. Democrats. Okay, so U.S. related content. Chaos in Minneapolis, U.S.-related content. Will Republicans win 2026? U.S.-related content. Trump's Venezuela. Okay, this one is a Venezuelan thing. Okay, but not Israel. Another Maduro one. Okay. Trump's speech. How white men became the target of something. Okay. 15 plus killed in, this one was Australia, I believe. Gavin Newsom, Venezuela. Okay, China. I don't see Israel here once. Somali immigrants. Hegseth. Yeah. Oh, way back a month ago, he talked about radical Islam. Okay. Now, somebody in the comments went, now do Tucker. First fucking episode, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, and then Ben Shapiro and Benjamin Netanyahu, 2 weeks ago, Benjamin Netanyahu. 1 month ago, Benjamin Netanyahu. It's like, hey, man, I'm not going even by the content. I'm going by your own fucking thumbnails and the titles of your show.
And that shows you who they're pitching their content to. That shows you who they're trying, what audience they're catering to. When you put a picture of BB up there, you know exactly who you want to come in there and negative. It's enragement farming is what it is.
Oh, yeah, it's 100%. And speaking of enragement farming,
look at
Owen
this clown.
Schroyer, the crash out on this kid is crazy. He really is. He looks, ever since Alex Jones fired him, I think a lot of people realize, like, Owen Schroyer is weird. That suit was for work. Owen Schroyer asks an interesting question. I'm sure it's not stupid, maybe. All right, if you had regime change in Iran versus you had regime change in Israel, which one do you think would get the world or the Middle East closer to peace? Iran. I know that he's going to say Israel. What the fuck are you talking about? First of all, framing Israel as a regime when it's a democracy is framing the question a little bit dishonestly. But let's say Israel was a regime, Shawn. Let's say they're a regime with a Knesset where they have 200 people, 120 people in their government. They have debates. They have a right wing and a left wing. The women in that country have equal rights, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they have equal rights. I mean, gay. It's like very gay over there.
It's actually quite liberal, to be honest.
It's very liberal.
There's a lot of,
and that's why
Bibi they lean left. Yeah.
Yeah, Bibi doesn't have a lot of support in Israel because Israel is very left-leaning. That's why I don't support the country of Israel. I've never supported the country of Israel. I've supported the people of Israel. So weird. But I mean, all right. So they have a democratic process of electing leaders. They have two parties, very liberal policies, versus Iran. Right? Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. The global terrorism database. It tracks the amount of Islamic terrorist attacks. Since 1970, there have been 66,000. It's a lot. It's a lot. Speaking of 1970, what happened around that time? Jimmy Carter was like, let's get rid of the Shah and let's put in Khomeini because, because the U.S. has to interfere and fucking do a regime change. So Owen Schroyer has a point. The U.S. has done this before. What Trump is doing is undoing it.
Right.
Yes, we changed the regime and it didn't work out. Let's change it back. See what happens. Jesus. Okay, so we got that. We got Renee Good. We got the Iranian. Let's go to the Iranian protests. Apparently, the numbers that are coming out of 12,000 people killed, it could be upwards of 20,000. It could also be overinflated. So nobody really knows. You can never really trust numbers that come out of there. I think it's safe to say thousands of people have been killed, though. I would. That's a very Safe
I
bet.
think that's safe. I think that's safe.
I know it's definitely not hundreds. However, hold on. It's not stopping. It's not stopping, Shawn, people from saying that Mossad is the one doing it.
Well, and that's funny because I was listening to Brett Baer
and
today,
look who it is.
And
look
he did an interview with an Iranian propaganda guy. But he was like, yeah, they're blaming Israel and the Mossad for killing the
he did. Hey. Oh, yay. Fuck, because I said that you look fucking really weird in that fucking tiny maid outfit, whatever the fuck it was, when you were licking a hooker's feet in the house that you have two small children that you display so proudly. These two kids that were in your fucking house while you were licking a male hooker's feet with crack on the bed.
Very strange.
Yeah, you know what? I'm the fucking problem, Glenn. I'm the problem. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, one of these Iranian regime officials blamed the Mossad for killing the protesters, not the regime. And I'm like, it's interesting because there's a large number of people in this country who do the same thing. And I wonder why the Islamic regime and the woke right are using the exact same identical talking points. And, I'm just noticing patterns. Okay.
Yeah. They call it the red-green alliance. I don't know what you call the woke right Islamic alliance. But yeah, it's fucking, it's always the same people too, which is why, and you and I don't go down the rabbit holes, but we do notice patterns. All right.
Yep.
It's a weird pattern that it's the same fucking people all the time, right? It's always Glenn Greenwald, Candace Owens, Ian Carroll, Dave Smith, Owen Schroyer, and Milo and fucking what's his name? What's that fat gay dude? Tim something? Dylan? Tim Dillon?
Tim Dillon? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
he's another one of these Dave Smith types who thinks he's funny, but he isn't.
Yeah, I don't have a huge problem with Tim Dillon, but he's just dude.
I just don't find, people think he's, I don't find him entertaining.
I don't think he's funny. I do not think he's funny or entertaining. But I don't necessarily have a huge problem with Tim Dillon other than the fact that it's can you stop trying to be smart? Just stop trying to be smart when you're clearly not. It's be what you are. Be a this is what I loved about Howard Stern. I still don't like Howard Stern as far as his politics and what have you. I liked Howard Stern because he was a shock jock that stuck to shock jocking. He did what he... Yeah, he talked about politics a little bit towards the end, but even when he talked about politics, he didn't do it that much. It was more like TDS, right? It was just a little bit of TDS. It wasn't like he still did his show where he remained Howard Stern, I would say 90% of the time. It's if you're going to be a clown, I don't know if he gay and then said he wasn't gay. Is he doing the Milo thing? I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know anything about Tim Dillon. I just know that I've seen a couple of his posts where I'm like, are you retarded? It's
I've watched a show or two of his, and I'm like, I don't see what people see.
It's Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore, same thing. I saw Jimmy Dore live in Austin. It was horrible. A horrible night for the comedian that was before him. It was I felt bad for her. Nobody was laughing because she was not funny. And then Jimmy Dore immediately follows up, and he was kind of funny. There was a couple of laughs. But I mean, as far as are you a comedian or are you a political commentator? Right? And why do you think you can do both? Right? I mean, I'm not saying don't comment on politics. I'm saying, are you a political commentator or are you a comedian? Right? Because it's kind of like a, I don't know. It'd be like a policeman who's also a firefighter. Which one are you? You can't do both.
Right. Right. No, it's true.
You could be a policeman that puts out a fire every once in a while.
Sure. Sure, but you're not going
All
to.
right. Anyway, let's read this. Let's read let's read the Footlicker's fucking tweet. It's Mike Pompeo. The Iranian regime is in trouble. Happy New Year's and to every Mossad agent. So this is clearly sarcasm. All right, this is trolling. Okay. And then it's always the Jerusalem Post. It's like it's basically Al Jazeera. It's the Jerusalem Post is like MSNBC in Israel.
Yeah.
Mossad spurs Iran with protests, saying agents with demonstrators in Farsi message. Okay. You think Mossad, I would hope, is over there infiltrating? I would hope so. You think they're killing protesters? You think that Mossad would be killing the people that are trying to do what Israel wants? What kind of fucking retarded logic? It's like, oh man, hey, you know, those demonstrators are going to take down the people that are trying to kill us constantly. Shoot them. Fucking what?
Doesn't make sense to me.
People still try. Only a conspiracy theorist could believe such a crazy tale. You literally highlighted sarcasm, bro. You highlighted a fucking joke.
Yep. When they're like, oh, well, they're not joking.
Yeah, they are. That's the whole point of joking.
The joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, you don't know. I'm sorry you don't understand how comedy works. You think Mike Pompeo was seriously saying that a Mossad agent follows around every...
Right. Exactly. You think this guy's out there coming out there saying, let me just blow up their spot and say that Mossad, like, it's so stupid.
You got to read between the lines, bro. You got to read between
It's like,
the
lines. How about stop creating lines to read between? Because that's what they're doing. It's like queuing. It's like the Q people. The Q people used to say, oh, well, Donald Trump said the words tippy top. And I'm like, yeah, Donald Trump's never, ever spoken and been hyperbolic before. You're right. Some guy who doesn't exist absolutely told Donald Trump to say that. And then he posted about it on 4chan to blow up his spot for all you decoders. Yeah. Give me a break.
I'm not a huge fan of Tim anymore, but I never really was. But Erin Wexler, this is hilarious. She goes, she see how she cropped herself because everyone's doing that stupid crop thing now. Did I show you the one I did? Here, let's go find it. It's gonna be a couple days back, but when you see just black boxes, I can't stand fucking trends. I think they're so dumb.
I hate trends.
Although
I did get behind the 6'7" trend because I thought it was annoying.
No,
so I decided I'll jump on them people with the 6'7" thing too.
Every once in a while, I'll jump on one, but only if it's really good. Here we go. I wrote tap the post to burr, right? So it looks like just black boxes.
Stop doing
this shit. It's like, I wonder how many people just didn't realize and didn't click on it and like, oh, yes, stop it. Stop it right now. Because it is a genius click and it's a genius engagement farm because you instinctively want to click because you want to see it. It's literally like putting a puzzle in front of somebody and saying, in order to solve the puzzle, you have to click one button. And it's like, oh, yeah, I want to click the button. So I've been scrolling past them, and I've been like, argh! Whoa, hey, Aaron, that's hot. Aaron is hot. I don't give a shit if she knows it. I told her to her fucking in her DMs. I said, you're hot. What are you going to do? Arrest me? I'm single. Fuck you. Did you see the people that they put Mark Ruffalo next to Hulk Hogan and were like, our Hulk, this is our Hulk, and it's like your Hulk is 5'4".
Mark Ruffalo, give me a break.
Whiny little bitch. Mark Ruffalo was just. Did you see him call Trump a rapist?
Yeah, he's about to get sued.
I hope he does, man. You really do got. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think that what needs to happen is civil lawsuits. I just scrolled past this again, and it's the gayest shirt I think anyone's ever worn.
It looks like 5-year-old pajamas.
Owen is the only person that can make camo.
5-year-old boy, like before kindergarten, like G.I. Joe pajamas. That's what that looks like.
Yeah, I think Owen's the only person that can make camo look gay. Like that's like it looks gay.
It looks very gay.
The only thing that you would be camouflaged in is a fucking gay club. Like it's like you blend right in. Nobody would see you. Carl Higbee just he posted something. He told me to it was like just asking. He was just asking oh shit. Here we go.
To come to America, it is a privilege. Immigrants. I
didn't realize it was that long of a clip. But making the obvious point, it doesn't even have to just apply to Somali immigrants, right? But all immigrants, right? Everybody who comes here, if you're not assimilating, right, then why the fuck did you leave your own country? So Dinesh D'Souza said something, which I didn't really think of, but it makes perfect sense. A lot of Venezuelans want to go back to Venezuela, right? Like they are very proud people who actually love their country. A lot of them, I'm not talking about the Tren de Araguas. I'm not talking about the criminals that came out of the prisons. I'm talking about the average real Venezuelan who really did flee oppression because the Maduro regime made life unlivable there. He's like, they want to go back. Unlivable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally make paper mache out of their money, and they eat out of garbage. They eat stray dogs. So yeah, it's unlivable. But he was talking about how they're such a proud nation who actually want to live, kind of like Puerto Ricans. A lot of Puerto Ricans, they like being in Puerto Rico. Like they don't want to be in America, but even though Puerto Rico is just one giant floating pile of trash, Tony Hinchcliffe was right about that, by the way, when he made that joke.
That Puerto Rico is a floating pile of garbage?
Yeah, you remember when he did that at
Yep.
It was at the Trump rally?
Yeah.
Everyone gave him shit, and then you Google it and you're like, "Oh shit, he's right." It's literally a giant landfill.
Yep.
Yeah. But Dinesh was talking about, so anyway, like I was saying, if you come here because you're actually, fleeing oppression and you want to make a better life, then obviously you'd want to make money and you'd want to contribute to the economy and you'd want to be a contributing member of society. But it's like when you have these third world shitholes like Haitians. I'm sorry, I'm not saying all Haitians. I grew up, one of my best friends growing up was Haitian. His name was Rudy, great guy. And I have nothing against the actual Haitian people, but Haiti's pretty fucking fucked up, And the majority of Haitians who come here, they aren't trying to make America better. They're sending money back to Haiti, right? And it's like you're sending money back to a fucked up country instead of just trying to make this country more prosperous. So yeah, Carl Higbee was like, if your country's so great, then why? Or if you're really, let me go back. What did he say? If Somalis built America, if immigrants built America, let's just say immigrants in general, how come they didn't build their own country? It's like immigrants didn't build America. Pioneers from other countries built America.
Yep.
People who simply immigrate to America, yeah, they didn't build it. We didn't even have settlers. We had the pioneers. We had the founding fathers who fought the settlers that actually settled and kicked them the fuck out and then made America great. Now we're going to make it great again.
That's it.
Anyway, speaking of Haiti, pretty damn sad. The Clintons. Thank you, Lotus, in the chat. What do you think's going to happen with this one, Sean? With Bill Clinton refusing.
I don't know. I think they're gonna hit him with contempt of Congress, but who knows if it's gonna go anywhere?
I don't think they're going to arrest Bill Clinton.
No, they're probably not.
I think they'll hit him with
They should do exactly. they should do everything that they did to Bannon and Navarro, but I just don't think Republicans are going to want to play ball.
No, and honestly, I don't think we should. I don't think you should waste an arrest on contempt of Congress. Because I've said this several times, right? Do you want to become them, or do you want to beat them? Right? Because what I'm getting from a lot of people is become them. Right? It's like, I want to see arrests. I want to see due process removed. I want to see everything sped up and fast tracked. And I just want what I want. I just want you to arrest. It's like, well, that's what they did to Trump. They wanted, for a political reason, to arrest somebody they didn't like. So they arrested somebody they didn't like. They did show me the man, I'll find you the crime, because they didn't like Trump.
Different in the case of Clinton, though. There is precedent. The left set the precedent, and it's legal. It is legal to put somebody in jail for contempt of Congress.
I agree 100%, right? I agree 100%. But do you want to waste the arrest, right? And give them a layup? Because, if the left didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards. They will act like they just never did it. And MSM will back them up. And regular people who are tired of the political weaponization of government will go, I don't think you should waste the DOJ's time on you're going to contempt of Congress. That's what you're going to get him for. The motherfucker is seen in like 50 pictures with what I'm presuming are underage girls and Jeffrey Epstein. Just arrest him for that, right? And no, it's not going to happen tomorrow. A lot of the shit that you people want, not people in the chat, I'm talking the Owen Schroyers, a lot of the shit that they want is not going to happen in Trump's term. It's just not. People need to manage their expectations and realize that it's just not the way our system works if our system is working properly. Like, if our system was working properly, like a defamation lawsuit takes 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
I'm not saying that people aren't going to be arrested.
The Clinton operation, look, what they did to Bannon, what they did to Navarro, if Clinton skips out contempt of Congress, and you want to make it mean something, then you go after him. I think ultimately he's going to cave. I think this is just a delay tactic.
Sure, but here's the deal. I remember saying that what they did to Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro was wrong, and I was right about that, okay? I remember saying, this is bullshit, even though it's legal, even though they can do it, I didn't like it. And I think that if we give the left that same argument, they will have it. So I don't want to give them that argument.
No,
right?
I know that, but I don't want to do it at the sake of accountability, because then what you're doing is, let's say you win the midterms, then nobody has to show up for subpoenas, right? Now what you're doing is basically saying, what you're doing at that point is, if you're going to subpoena somebody to show up in front of Congress and they don't, and you don't put them in jail over it, or you don't hit them with those consequences, it means nothing. Laws only matters if they're enforced. I agree. If Bill Clinton continues to skip out, throw him in fucking jail. You have to.
I actually,
or else your subpoena means nothing in the future. That's my point.
You've convinced me. That's a solid argument. You've convinced me. If Bill Clinton continues to step, but I would say, all right, let's meet in the middle here. Yes, if he skips out, go through all the steps, and then if he skips out, sure, throw him in jail for 90 days.
Yes, 100%. You go through all the steps, and then if he comes in and he testifies, and you drop the contempt charges, that's all. It's that easy.
That's a fair middle ground. I think that I don't think,
and this is the thing. Again, the only reason why I don't remember it's not even necessarily because I want my pound of red meat, right? Oh, we got Clinton, he's in jail. Like, fine. Is there a little bit of me that's like, let's make him twist a little bit? Sure, but like,
did they give Navarro and
the real reason is, for me, is if you don't enforce the subpoena, then other people are going to say, oh, you subpoenaed me? F that, I'm not coming. Because what are you going to do?
No, you make a very good point.
That's my point.
Did did the Democrats give Bannon and Navarro all the steps, or did they jump straight from, or did they fast track it? I don't remember.
It took a long time. I remember they didn't get put in jail because that was all over the January 6th committee. And that ended, the J6 committee ended when Republicans retook the House and were sworn in 2023. And Bannon and Navarro didn't see prison until late 2024, like right around the election. So it took a while.
I don't remember. No, I'm saying they said, all right, you got to come into Congress. And then let's say Bannon or Navarro was like, fuck you, right? Did they immediately just go, okay, you're in contempt? Or did they like go, come on, come on?
Well, I'm fairly certain they threatened him with contempt, but then they held him in contempt. And they didn't, the Department of Justice didn't prosecute those contempt charges for a while. I mean, it definitely took a long time. So I don't think it was one of those like, oh, you didn't come in, you're in jail tomorrow type of deal.
I like Peter Navarro a lot. And Bannon, I think he's sometimes a clown, but I would say overall, I agree with him a lot. I think he's a little fucking wacky lately. But I think that they probably should have just gone in and testified. I don't remember the details of that case. I don't know why they didn't go in and testify. I mean, it seems like a silly thing to do, like to
I don't remember what the reason was. I'm not sure.
Me neither.
And I'm not sure if they could have. I mean, if I was them, man, why don't I just go in and plead the fifth the whole time?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like you can literally just, because it's so easy to not get contempt of Congress, right? Like, and Bill Clinton can do the same thing. He's gonna go. Nobody's like these people think. Bill Clinton, I think, thinks that he's above this. He's like, and Hillary Clinton, they're like, I don't answer to you. Like, no, yeah, you do actually.
You kind of do.
The shoe's on the other foot, right? Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. It's you do, right? You're private citizens now. If you get called into Congress and you don't show up, you get contempt of Congress. And like I said, I do agree with you that if they do say, fuck you, then yeah, you got to throw them in jail, especially after the Democrats did it. What I'm saying is, I don't think you want to waste time on stupid shit that looks like weaponization of government. Even though
that's fine. That's totally fine. And your angle,
I don't agree that
your angle here. Yeah, your angle here cannot be let's make Bill Clinton not come in so we could put him in jail and then we give our a pound of red meat. This is simply, if he shows up and testifies, there's no contempt of Congress, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't, you have to enforce the subpoena. And that's the number one thing for me, is because if you don't enforce it with Bill Clinton, everybody else is going to look at that as weakness and go, well, they didn't throw him in jail, I don't have to show up either. And then you'll have that problem. So that's my biggest thing here is don't show that weakness. If they're not going to come in and they're not going to testify, you have to enforce the law and enforce the subpoena.
Shawn, watch the screen, right? And look at the difference between like regular people and fucking crazy people. Viva Frey, yep, indict both of them. Mike Davis, we all know Bill Clinton abused little girls. Now they're refusing to testify. Hold them in contempt. Ian Carroll, Bill Clinton was blackmailed by Israel's child sex trafficking ring. And then he just points out that he ratioed Elon Musk again. You buy these likes. You buy them. You are not ratioing Elon fucking Musk. It's not happening.
It's not real.
Elon Musk has 220 million fucking followers. You are not ratioing Elon Musk. Why do you think you're ratioing Elon Musk? It's like fucking, what is Elon Musk, 3.1 million
And the worst
views.
part about these people with the ratio is they, even let's say in some parallel universe somewhere, Ian Carroll is legitimately ratioing Elon Musk, which he's not. But let's say in a parallel universe somewhere he is, right? What does it mean? What does that get you?
It doesn't mean
you go to the grocery store and you buy. Do you get like a discount? Like I ratioed Elon today. Oh, you get buy one get one on everything in the store. What does it do for you in the real world other than nothing?
So I noticed that the ratio trend came from TikTok, right? So it's when I was on TikTok, I noticed that there was a lot of people that engage in fake engagement. It's just something that everybody on TikTok does because it's so easy to do, right?
It's easy to do.
You can literally. Oh, I mean, I bet you I could do it right now. I'm not sure, but let's find out. I don't know. Buy TikTok likes. Where can I safely buy TikTok likes that actually help with engagement? It's like, obviously they're doing it if there's Reddit threads about it.
Right.
It's like so I mean, there's somebody sent me a website that I used. I can't remember what it was called. And I literally did it to troll people. Like, it was when I was being banned like 10 times a day, So like, people were like, you should. It would cost me like $10. Like, you should make an account and buy the likes because you're being banned anyway. And I go, oh no, I'll buy the likes just so I can say I bought likes. And because everyone was accusing me of buying likes, and I wasn't buying likes, but they kept accusing me of doing it, so I did it. I was like, okay, now that claim, I was trolling. But literally what happens is you go to the website, you type in your username, and you put in like $10, and it's like 1,000 likes. And I'm not joking. I like went back to my page and I watched my like count go up, up, up. I had no followers. The post was brand new, and I just wanted to see what happened, and it really works. So when I say buy likes, I'm sure Ian Carroll is not even paying money for them. I bet you that they have just figured out how to bot themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like they just have a program. They're probably nerds who have run their own algorithm, and they're just buying likes. But look, here's how I know he's buying likes. Quote, 1.3 million followers. Okay. This post says Elon Musk got 3.1 million views and Ian Carroll got 3.1 million views. Under Ian Carroll's post, he got 105,000 likes on one. He got 32 million views on another post and 94,000 likes on another. Shocking. Okay, remember, 1.3 million followers. Elon Musk. 232.1 million followers. There is no fucking world that exists where a 1.3 million follower account will ratio somebody in a comment section twice when they have 200 times as many followers as they do. If it was a post, a post can go viral, a post can get chewed up by the algorithm, and it's possible. It is not possible for 2 comments, clapbacks, replies to go that ratio-ish. So it's so blatantly obvious. It's not even like believable. It's literally, okay, you know what this reminds me of, Shawn? It's like fucking when you see that dude who has no neck, right? And like 22-inch biceps. And he's like, I'm all natural. Never touched steroids in my life.
Like, yeah.
It's like The Rock. If The Rock was like, I've never touched steroids, I'd be like, you fucking lying piece of shit.
Yeah, Barry Bonds, like, right?
Dude,
he showed up in baseball looking like this pen. And next thing you know, he's the Hulk at the plate. You know, he makes a baseball bat look like a toothpick in his hands. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure that's all legit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
organic.
Natural.
Yeah,
and Andrew Tate tried that shit. Andrew Tate's like, I'm all natural, and it's like, no, you're not. And like, he's got these little needle marks in his tricep because if you're fucking retarded, you inject testosterone into your tricep. I know plenty of guys that have done it before. I used to work in a gym, and those needle marks, and somebody was like, those are calcium deposits. No, they're not. You know how I know that? I have the same marks on my ass because I am prescribed TRT. I'm prescribed testosterone replacement therapy. I shoot up twice a week. Those needle marks are from him shooting testosterone into his tricep like a fucking idiot. You're supposed to go into your biggest muscle group. That's your thigh or your ass. Some people will put it in their lat, which is perfectly fine. It's a big muscle group. But retards who have no idea how testosterone works think that if you put it into the muscle, it will make that muscle grow, and it won't.
No.
It literally disperses through the whole body.
There it goes into your bloodstream, right?
It's not a localized thing, but retarded people.
Right.
A lot of them. A lot of retarded gym bros shoot test into their triceps and their shoulder. They shoulder tricep. It's the dumbest thing ever, but they still do it.
But they do it.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So let's see. I think we covered everything. I'm not sure. Covered Venezuela. What else happened this week? I'm not doing it. I'm not clicking on. I'm going to start fucking muting you people. Just like I'm mute. I just muted them. I'm about to do it again. Hold on. Do I follow you? Nope, I don't follow you. Watch this. This is what's going on from now on. Mute. Muting. I'm muting the people that do this. Oh, Iran. Yes, thank you. Roadrunner. Let's close out with Iran. That's right. I did want to go and show the protest. So I was talking to who is this?
That's the Shah. That's the Crown Prince.
Oh, okay. I'm
Reza
following
Pahlavi
him.
is the Shah. He's the Crown Prince. Yeah, I'm following him too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw him post about something. Shit, I was saying something. This morning with Dinesh, I was talking about something. Yeah. Okay. This is 1 hour ago. Yep. Revolutionary opening, spraying bullets at unarmed. Yeah. You know, look, you can hear the bullets going off. Oh, you can even see the flashes. They're just, look, I said this was going to happen. Yep. I said this was going to happen. I'm like, dude, like, they are going to just open fire into the crowd. Like, this isn't America, okay? This isn't America where it's like, oh, I hope we don't get any bad press.
They're fighting for their survival, the IRGC, so they're going to do whatever's necessary to stay in power.
Yeah. These two fucking idiots with their Renee fucking good pins. Be good. Are you telling us to kill ourselves?
Yeah, right. You're telling me to go commit suicide by cop.
That's the way you be good.
Right.
I'm looking. I don't know if this is a legit photo, but it wouldn't shock me if it is. It says if this was a photo of Gaza, there would not be a single media outlet that didn't have it on the front page.
True.
If it's not Gaza, it's Iran. You know, it's what a really good point is. Let's actually look. Let's look.
Even if that picture wasn't actually out of Gaza and somebody said it was, it would be all over the place.
Yeah. Before I do that, let's see if we can find the videos of what is Crowder saying? Yes. Yeah, he brought that up. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for.
That's an old picture. That's from last week.
Is it?
That video. Yeah, I remember playing that on my show last week. That's old.
Well, either way, I think I saw a video that I think was new. You can never tell what's new and what's reused, what's AI, what's not.
Right.
But I think it was yesterday. I want to say it was yesterday. I thought it was this one. Maybe it was this one. But it said something along the lines of, it said 20,000 killed and they're still in the streets. And that's the point. I think maybe it was this one. After hundreds, yes. The 14th, this was 3 days ago. This might be what I'm thinking of. After hundreds of protesters, call them revolutionaries, by the way. After hundreds of revolutionaries were killed, people in northern Iran still took to the streets. And the point that I wanted to make with that post is, if what usually happens, like when Brazil tries to overthrow their government, Venezuela, a lot of these third world countries, when there's an uprising, what happens is the regime, they come out and they fire about, 1,000 rounds into the crowd. And then everybody goes home. And they're like, all right, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Right.
Let's go. I just lost my cousin. I just lost my dad. I just lost my mom. I just lost my sister. Not worth it. What's happening now is we have 2 weeks where the IRGC has fired into the crowd, probably killed about 20,000 people, and they're still going out. That's a revolution.
Well, those are people who don't care if they die, because in many cases it may be better than living under the thumb of the regime, and that's how bad it is in Iran. That's how you know it's bad enough.
Exactly.
When people are like, "All right, if I get shot, it's okay," Yeah.
Airspace, Iranian airspace looks a lot like Venezuela's did a few weeks ago. Trump's going in there, not in boots on the ground. Not boots on the ground.
No, there's going to be a strike at some point. Yeah.
There's going to be a strike. I would say within the next 72 hours, I would expect either an assassination. I would say either an assassination of Khomeini or some type of military strike on strategic targets, maybe payload drops. I don't know how they would do it. But you know what they should do? They should just payload drop a fuck ton of guns, right? They should just go fucking, hey, drop it right on top of the crowd. Be like, hope you get out of the way in time, but this shit's filled with AR-15s.
Just go ahead, open up.
Shoot back. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Let's ask Perplexity. Let's ask Perplexity. I want to find out how big the IRGC's military is. How large? Whoa. Is the IRGC?
The IRGC is about 200,000 people.
Okay. Across the whole of Iran, 150 to 190,000 active personnel.
Western diplomat who requested, I'm on another page, says that it could be as high as 200,000, but about 150 to 180,000.
Yeah, it says 150 to 190,000 here on Perplexity. It says, not counting its much larger Basij militia network, the Basij parliamentary force it controls is included. Oh, so it is included. No, it says not counting. The broader mobilization pool reaches into the hundreds of thousands and potentially into the low millions of members, reservists. Okay. What's the population of Iran? Because this is what I'm doing. What I'm thinking is we outnumber our military 250 to 1. So, okay. So they're in the low 90 million range. Wow, that's a lot.
There are thought to be around 600,000 to 900,000 Basij members.
Okay. So
600K to 900K Basij.
Iran's population is estimated around 92 to 93 million. And let's say between the IRGC militia or military and the Basij militia, let's say you got 1 million. That's 90 to 1.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because I don't think that people realize that if our military ever... Now, there's a huge difference between America and Iran. And I'll tell you what it is, even though you probably already know where I'm going with this. But if America's military ever tried to fucking, pull some shit, we could fuck them up in a weekend. The citizens, right? The difference between us and Iran, though, is we have 40% of the world's 1 billion guns in private ownership. And each citizen has an average of 12. Each gun owner has an average of 12 guns, right? So it's not like Iran, right? We outnumber our own military 250 to 1, and we have the world's largest armory, pretty much, in our private ownership. Iran outnumbers its military 90 to 1, and they have maybe some rocks. So that's the difference. So what I would do if I was Trump, is I would just be like, you know what? All these guns that we're gonna just, melt down, or, they've been used in crimes or something like that. If I can just drop them. Just drop them. We're gonna have to get that. The problem is with that strategy is, is that kind of like a Fast and Furious, where you just arm a new militia, like where it's like shit.
Right.
Anyway. All right. Well, I'm pretty. Almost lost you. I'm pretty tired. I talked over Shawn a lot tonight because if I didn't keep talking, I was going to fall asleep, and I think that he took the approach of fall asleep. So
there's also that delay that we were dealing with too.
We thought, yeah. Apparently there is no delay. I see a delay, but apparently nobody else does. Anyway, Hate Mail Thursday tomorrow from me. What do you got going on, Shawn? As usual. I saw. By the way, I saw that you were on the Vince show again. That's you're getting on there quite a bit. You gonna get a job offer?
I covered his radio show yesterday for 3 hours, which was a lot of fun. It's, Dan Bongino himself said it was amazing, so it leads me to believe that he was listening, which is cool. It's high praise.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to work with their producer Jim, who I've worked with to make bits and stuff for their programs in the past. So that was a lot of fun.
Jim's the man.
Jim is the man. But it was a lot of fun. Friday, I'll be on PHT 2 times, once in the morning from 7:45 to 9:45, 1210 WPHT. That's the station of Philadelphia I do a lot of work with. And then from 3 to 6 Eastern in the afternoon slot with Anna Hummel. She's really cool. We'll be co-hosting from 3 to 6. So a lot of radio, which is a lot of fun. So I love doing radio.
Question for you. You don't have to answer. I'm not sure if it's inside baseball. I don't think it's anything that you can't say. But I noticed that you have the set when you do the show. I'm assuming you're not flying or traveling. What, did they just bring you a mobile set?
What do you mean, set?
When you did Vince's show, looked like you were in his studio.
It was a picture I put on my TV. Yeah, it was just a screenshot.
I thought so. Yeah. I didn't realize, so I was like, it looks like he's in Vince's studio. So I was like, it was a
photo. Yeah, and I put it on my backdrop. That's all.
Well, it looked real. I watched that show and I didn't notice. I thought you were really there. Because when I did Piers Morgan, they offered to send me a mobile studio. I was like, no, I got it. I was like, I got it. Yeah. So like, sometimes what they'll do is like big productions, like Piers Morgan, for the guests, when you see the guest and it looks like they're in like a professional studio, like with something behind them, it's like a trailer that they drive to your fucking house and you go and
you go in the truck. Yeah. This is just, I have the 75-inch TV back here. And so I could put anything I want behind me. I could put the green and I can do a green screen, or I could just grab an image that I want to sit in front of. Usually it's this one because I like the Betsy Ross flag. But if they want another image or somebody wants, hey, do this, it'll look better. We'll keep it on brand. No problem. And I could throw it back there. Yeah, and it works.
Joe Pags does that. Dan Bongino's old show does that. I was thinking about doing it. I was like, I could do the show in front of like because I have a 75 in the living room. And every time I look at it, I'm like, you know what? That's not a 100-inch TV. And now they sell 100-inch TVs.
Right.
I'm one of those people. I have to have the biggest TV.
People are moving away from sitting in front of the backdrop and doing what you do by creating like, doing something, sitting in a room.
I do like this thing I did, but it wasn't on purpose. It was like I put it together as when I moved in, I go, how am I going to do it? My original plan I'll show you what my original plan was. This wall right here, I was going to have, which I got my three wise men, my monkeys. I was going to put those 4 paintings on that wall. I was going to have the desk in the middle of the room, and I was going to have the camera right there. So it would be like sitting with a wall that's maybe 3 feet behind me with the paintings. And then when I got in the room, I looked at the room and I set it up, and I was like, actually, if I drape an American flag over that fucking door, it actually worked out. So anyway, but yeah, I want to do updated on the lighting. The lighting's fine, but it's just I got a couple little tweaks to the lighting in here. Other than that, we're good to go. All right, boys and girls, let's do the shout outs. Roadrunner 513 in the house. HR Shaw, Emerald Sonic 78, Tommy Girl 7169 nice. Star Spangled Savage, Lotus 8 Lily, 508J Fisher. We got Tommy. I already said that. I know I saw. Yeah. Freedom isn't free. Ain't that the truth? Crazy Moan McGroin. K Hart 917. Brennan Farish, the beautiful Brennan Farish, was here or is here. I don't know. Stassi's for real. That's Jaina on the edge. And that's everybody. All right, boys and girls. Hate Mail Thursday tomorrow. Real quick before I let you go, I have not gotten any hate mail in 10 days. Right? Sean. What happened about 10 days ago? Little more than 10 days ago ish. Fucking Iranians started protesting in the streets.
Oh yeah. Huh.
It's weird. Somebody just pointed that out. I was like, I go, I haven't got a hate mail in 10 days. They go, yeah, that's because all of your haters are in the streets. I'm like, oh wait. I do talk a lot of shit about Muslims.